Would you help me start this in the usual way? God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. Amen. I lift up my eyes unto the mountains. From where will my help come? My help comes from God, maker of heaven and earth. God will not let your foot give way. Your guardian will not slumber. See, the guardian of Israel neither slumbers nor sleeps. At your right hand. By day, the sun will not strike you, nor the moon by night. God will guard you from all harm. God will guard your life, your going, and your coming now and forevermore. Let us find comfort in the words of the ancient sage. God, what are we that you are mindful of us? Or indeed, those who come after us that you take account? Our lives are as vanity, for our days pass away as a shadow. In the morning, we flourish and blossom forth. In the evening, we are cut down and wither. You turn us to contrition and demand, return, O ye children. If you were wise, you would consider your end. When you die, you shall carry nothing away with you. Your glory shall not descend after you. But trust this, God does redeem the souls of the servants. None of them who trust shall be forsaken. Please hear the words of the poet. Let the thoughts of this moment be thoughts of tenderness and gratitude. Tenderness because of the person in whose memory we are now gathered. Gratitude for all that has been lovable throughout the years. Tenderness toward every human frailty. Gratitude for a life known intimately and held in honor. Gratitude for strong ties of family affection. Gratitude for the privilege of knowing and of sharing with one another our experiences of joy and sorrow. Gratitude for opportunities to help and care for one another, which enable us to believe that our lives count. We would not be spared the consciousness of sorrow and loss. As our experience deepens, may our understanding of one another deepen also. And may we win from our joys and sorrows the wisdom of patience and sympathy, the courage to live faithfully, and the confidence that dark hours may have precious meanings. And may we gain a deepened sense of the sacredness and worth of a life well lived. Jewish tradition enjoins 3 prayers upon us, and the first attempts to help us make sense of such a tragedy as Linda's death. We affirm Hatzor Tamim Po'olo Ki Chol Drachav Mishpat El Emunah Ve'ein Avel Tzadik V'Yasharhu. Hatzor Tamim B'chol Po'al Mi Yomar Lo Ma Tifal Hashalit B'Matu V'Ma'al Me'mit U'Mechayem Orit She'o V'Ya'al Hatzor Tamim B'chol Ma'aseh. Thy work, O God, is perfect, for all thy ways are justice, a God of faithfulness and without iniquity, just and right. Who can say, what doest thou? Thou bringest death and giveth life. What mortal can demand of thee? What hast thou wrought? Thou alone, O God, dost righteously apportion both life and death. In thy hand is the destiny of all souls. Thou wilt not forget us. Thy mercy will surely abide with us. Blessed art thou, Judge of truth, who dost ordain death and summon us to life. Life offers us the gift of so many blessings. None is more precious than the love of family and friends. In the strength and compassion of parents, in the mutual devotion of husband and wife, of brother and sister, we find the security of love. The landscape of our years is peopled with the presence of open hearts which exact no price for the gift of themselves. So when a loved one dies, sadness is a normal response. Two people cannot share the best and worst of life in mutual experience and find that absence is trivial. Truly, the tribute of love is the pain of separation. 3 of us are going to attempt to eulogize Linda this morning, and I'd like to ask her niece Cindy to come forward.
My earliest memories of my Aunt Linda are from my childhood. We would enjoy Cedar Point and visits with my dad and my Grandma Tiny. I think of those early times as after we entertain our generation while also causing a little mischief. Our relationship evolved when I moved to Cleveland for college at the same time that Linda and Scott returned back to Cleveland with their precious Brittany. I saw the amazing love that they had for Britt, even during their ups and downs. Brittany was her everything, and Scott her soulmate. During the past 25 years, Linda was there with me for some big moments. She always said the birth of Brittany was the most amazing thing to experience. However, she also was there with me to watch the birth of my firstborn. To me, I think that demonstrates her true love of life and of children, her passion. She truly loved unconditionally. She held no grudges. She sought ill will towards no one ever. Linda did not preach. However, she instead lived it for the rest of us here to witness. That's powerful. Over these past days, I spent a lot of time reflecting on Linda's life and our relationship. I'm sure everyone who knew Linda can relate. As I cried tears of sadness, now also, I was also overcome with Linda's influence on me, as well as all of you. So I'm trying to focus instead on the sadness, but on those lasting memories. Make memories. Life is not about material things. Linda certainly always enjoyed a good mani and a pedi. However, as you know, the rest of the appearance was a little less focused than that. Be present. Set your phones to the side. Enjoy simple time together. Linda would often stop by for a quick hug, a Coke, some of my famous popper dip, and then she would be gone again and off to her next task. Work hard. Linda was always working and doing it out without a single complaint. She was a busy lady. Have fun and share laughter. Her laughter was infectious and you can all still hear it. Don't forget about it. Finally, love unconditionally. And at the same time, remember to allow yourself to be loved. Linda was pure love, along with infectious laughter. Let's keep those memories flowing. Thank you.
We are gathered in this large and loving assembly to pay tribute to the life and give honor to Linda's memory. Questions are shouting at us in our heads and our hearts. They all start with the word why. Why now? Why her? Why this way? Why us? I pray that we don't try to answer those questions now. That would cheapen our grief and provide, at best, a false sense of relief. We can honor Linda by honoring our sadness and honoring the questions. It's right to give them their space. Rabbi Abraham Twersky teaches a great lesson relevant to today. He is a physician as well as a rabbi, and he's a deeply curious man. He wonders aloud at the differences between us humans and chimpanzees. After all, we do share 99% of our genome with them. He posits that it is not our opposable thumbs or the size of our brains that gives us our humanity. Rabbi Twersky teaches that it is our desire for more that sets us apart and makes us human. Our desire for more takes many forms. Our desire for more is what causes us to be overweight. Just one more dessert and all that. Our desire for more also allows us to search for what we cannot see, but sense what is real. Our desire for more differentiates us as spiritual and leads us to what many of us call God. I bring up this teaching now because I think Linda was a fabulous, wonderful representative of our human species who knew the secret of being human and lived her life so well. Linda wanted more. I believe that Linda sensed there was more to life from her earliest days and set out to find it and live it. From what many of us would have feared was a way too young of an age, she found a lot of that more with Scott. She found the love of her life, and he, his. They were a pair. The fun, the joy, the intensity, but above all, the devotion to each other. And Linda found more with Brittany. And speaking with some of her friends these past few days, each one remarked, Britt, on how she loved you, how she sought nothing more than your security and happiness. The role of mother gave her more purpose in life and more centeredness. Even in some of the hardest times together, her sense of you kept her moving forward and moving toward a vision of better times, of more calm and more security. As you've grown and matured, she took enormous pride in your accomplishments and your growing adult relationship that was able to hold love, forgiveness, and hope all in one bundle. Linda found more with her beloved JCC students and their families and the lives of the children whose lives she touched as a nanny. Linda found more fun and love and acceptance with the whole Duvin clan, with the jokes and the off-color sense of humor, with the special travels and the daily phone calls and the unending well of love and acceptance that you all shared with each other. Linda found more with four-legged loves. She found more with her niece Cindy, and with friends and extended family and close family and friends who became family, especially in these last 3 years. Linda was never too busy to give a ride, to show up where she was needed, to step up to fill a need or share the greatness of her heart and her laugh. Sometimes in her life, Linda's search for more took her to hard places and in wrong directions. One small sense of peace, however, is that she did find the ultimate more in life. Linda found a personal relationship with God. She learned the secret before she died, that all the searching for more could not be satisfied by people or things. It could only be filled with a God of her own understanding who loved her and sanctified her days. And dear friends, please know, Linda found that. In the midst of all the doubt and all the fear we feel at her death, I believe she'd want us to know this. Linda found her more. She was okay. What Linda didn't have was more time with us. And that is the source of our great sadness. We do have more. We have more of each other. We have more time today, and I pray we have a bit more peace in knowing by looking around us with whom we might share that journey. Ken Yehi Ratzon, may it be so. Amen. Mark.
Hi, everyone. My name is Mark. I'm an alcoholic. I wasn't sure I was going to say that, but it seems to be the thing to say. God, I'm really not prepared for this. I'm also a husband, a father, a son, brother. For the last few days, as I talk to people and I've texted people saying, my sister-in-law has passed away, and it never felt or sounded right because for as long as I've known, Linda's been my sister. There's no in-law. She's been part of my family for a long time. She and my brother Scott met when they were roughly 15. I don't think they drove. And for better or for worse, they were never apart ever again. You know, when Linda first showed up, we had a complicated house. A lot of people have complicated houses, but when there was 3 boys and our parents, and to drop a young 15-year-old girl, and Scott was our oldest in our house, so to drop a young 15-year-old girl into that, to me, you know, as I look back on it, was a little maybe like dropping a human into a gorilla cage at a zoo. You know, I'm not totally sure that the gorilla or the human are prepared for what happens next in that situation. But she never left. She never left my brother's side. She never left my family's side. You know, when we were talking about things that reminded us of, you know, that Linda made us think of, you know, pretty much universally, we all talked about her ability to laugh at herself, which was unbelievable. You know, you're going to see pictures and maybe some videos flying around that are really funny. You should look at them. She's beautiful. And we talked about her love for Brittany, which was unending, and the light of her life. You know, everybody talked about her struggle to find peace in her life, and it was a never-ending struggle, and she appeared to be on the better side of that. I know that she was. You know, but the more, and all those things are true, but the more that I think about it, you know, I keep going back to this from my life and my family, and my experience with Linda is that she was always there for me. She was always there for our family, in good or bad. And like I said, life's complicated. There was bad. But she was always there for it, you know? And it's, you know, the reason I think my brother took to her so fast, and the reason they were together so long, was because she became his guiding light. She became his rock. And that wasn't always a healthy thing, maybe, but it was their life. It was my life. It is my life. And she grew to become a rock for so many people. I mean, I look around now, I look in the hospital, and I was blown away, because I've always seen Linda as just part of my family, right? Like, she's mine. And I realize she's not. You know, she's everybody in this room, and she's touched so many lives in beautiful ways. And it's because I think she was a rock for a lot of people. Even when she was struggling herself, she would be there for other people. She was there for my brother forever. She's been there for me. She's been there for my family. And I've seen it within the faces of people around everywhere for the last few days. And so I don't have too much more to say other than I loved her, and you know, I need a new rock in my life. I feel like maybe we all need to replace a rock. And you know, the people that are there for you in your life, and who stand up with you, and who go through things with you in good times and bad, don't take them for granted. Tell them you love them. Let them know that you're there for them, and appreciate them while they're here. If I could say something else to Linda, I would just say, Linda, I love you, and I miss you, and you and Scott will always be in my heart. Brittany will always be under my arm as long as I can. And thank you to everyone for showing up and helping us celebrate Linda's life. That's it. Thank you.
May Linda's memory endure among us all as a blessing. In your own time, O God, when we too are called to enter eternity, may we leave this life secure in the faith that with you is the fountain of life, that in your light we shall see light. The dust returns to the earth as it was, the spirit to God who gave it. We pray you receive, God, dear God, Linda's soul in mercy. Grant her that everlasting peace which you have prepared for us in the world to come. Though no human eye has seen, nor ear has heard, nor mind has grasped it, still, it is our sure inheritance and our everlasting portion. May I ask those of you who are able to please rise. El malei rachamim shochein bamromim, hamsei menucha nechona tachat kanfei hashchina, im kedoshim u'tahorim kezohar harakia mazirim et nishmat Leah bat Avraham v'Sara harenu shehalcha la'olama, ba'al harachamim yasirehu b'seter kenafav la'olamim, v'yitzur b'tzorcha chayim et nishmata. Adonai hu nachalata v'tanuach b'shalom al-mishkava, v'nomar, Amen. O God, full of compassion, thou who dwellest on high, grant perfect rest unto Linda Duvin's soul, for she has departed this world. Source of mercy, bring her into your presence and let her soul be bound up in the bond of eternal life. Be thou her possession, may her repose be peace. And let us say, Amen. Please be seated. The sage teaches us as follows: fear not death. We are destined to die. We share it with all who have ever lived and with all who will ever be. Bewail the dead, hide not your grief, do not restrain your mourning. But remember, continuing sorrow is worse than death. When the dead are at rest, let their memory rest. Be consoled when the soul departs. Death is better than a life of constant pain, and eternal rest than constant sickness. Seek not to understand why. It is too difficult for you. Search not for what is hidden from you. Be not overoccupied with what is beyond you, for you've been shown more than you can understand. As a drop of water in the sea, as a grain of sand on the shore, are a person's few days in eternity. The good things in life last for limited days, but a good name endures forever. This is a story, a reading that's familiar to many of us. I'd like to call it an absolutely true story that never happened. But it means much. One night, I dreamed I was walking along the beach with God. Many scenes from my life flashed across the sky. In each scene, I noticed footprints in the sand. Sometimes there were 2 sets of footprints, other times only 1. This bothered me because I noticed that during the low periods of my life when I was suffering from anguish, from sorrow or defeat, I could see only 1 set of footprints. So I said to God, you promised me that if I followed you, you would walk with me always. But I have noticed that during the most trying periods of my life, there's only been 1 set of footprints in the sand. Why, when I needed you most, have you not been there for me? In my dream, God replied to me, the times when you see only 1 set of footprints, my child, is when I carried you. It is written that she has achieved much, who has lived well, laughed often, and loved with a full heart, who has gained the respect of the wise and the trust of the young, who has filled a place, accomplished some task, who has left the world better than she found it, who has appreciated the true and the beautiful, who has looked for the good in others and given of the good she had, whose life was an inspiration, whose memory is a benediction, for it was the way Linda lived her life. Would you join me, please, in the 23rd Psalm? The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. He maketh me to lie down in green pastures. He leadeth me beside the still waters. He restoreth my soul. He guideth me in straight paths for his name's sake. Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for thou art with me. Thy rod and thy staff, they comfort me. Thou preparest a table before me in the presence of my enemies. Thou hast anointed my head with oil. My cup runneth over. Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life, and I shall dwell in the house of the Lord forever. The family would like to let you know that following this service, Shiva will be observed at the Racket Club today. Please join us there. We pray, O God, that you sustain us so that we may meet with serenity the mysteries which lie ahead, knowing that when we walk through the valley of the shadow of death, you, O God, are with us, a loving friend in whom we put our trust. You are the light of our life, our hope in eternity. The Jewish prayer, Kaddish, is this amazing plaint to God to hear us, and yet it never mentions death. Instead, it's a praise. It's a praise of the world exactly as it is, with its sadness and with its brokenness. And so when we ask in our grief, whence shall come our help and our comfort, then in the strength of faith, let us answer with the psalmist, my help comes from God. The source of life will not forsake us nor leave us in our grief. Upon God we cast our burden, and God will grant us strength according to the days apportioned to us. All life comes from God. All souls are in God's keeping. Come then, and in the midst of sympathizing fellow worshipers, I ask those of you who are able to please rise as we hallow the name of God with the words of Kaddish. Yitgadal v'yitgadash shemei Rabbah, ba'alma divra chirutei v'yamlich malchutei, v'chayechon uvyomechon uv'chayei t'chol beit Yisrael, ba'agala uvizman kariv v'imru amen. Yehei shmei Rabbah mivarach le'olam u'lalmei almaya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh v'yithadar v'yitalev v'yithalal shemei dekudsha b'richu le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata tushbechata v'nechemata da'amiran ba'alma v'imru amen. Yehei shlama Rabbah min shmaya v'chaim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. Oseh shalom b'mromav hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. May the source of peace send peace to all who mourn and send comfort to all the bereaved amongst us. Amen. Please be seated. Our closing thought comes from Chaim Potok. He wrote this: we live less than the time it takes to blink an eye if we measure our lives against eternity. So it may be asked, what value is there to a human life? There is so much pain in the world. What does it mean to have to suffer so much if our lives are nothing more than the blink of an eye? I learned a long time ago that the blink of an eye in itself is nothing. But the eye that blinks, that is something. A span of life is nothing. But the person who fills that span with meaning is something. Meaning is not automatically given to life. It is hard to fill one's life with meaning. But a life filled with meaning is worthy of rest. Amen.